Alright, usual disclaimer, this is off the top of my head, so take it with a grain of salt. I just wanted to bring up some counter-arguments to the whole anti-plastic movement these days. Like, I get it, okay, environmental stuff, I don't want to swear too early in the video. Yeah, stuff like that's important. I just want to bring up some things from the other side of the story, some things that activists haven't considered in the way they're doing things and the impacts that it has. I'll start with the main one before I get too distracted, which often happens in my videos. I have a disabled brother, like profoundly disabled brother. I know, like, mental health wise you could consider me disabled because I don't function in the world, but I'm talking about like severe obvious disability. He's got cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and some general intellectual impairment. Mum is lazy and calls it autism. It is not autism, it's just an intellectual impairment that, you know, he likes trains, but that's like the only thing in common he has with you know, autistic people, really. And that's a very superficial one and very stereotypical, and it's not really how autism is. Anyway, never mind that. So he's severely disabled. He struggles, you know, the cerebral palsy, you know, makes it physically difficult for him to do things. You know, we still have a wheelchair just in case, but he did have Botox in the back of his legs, so he can walk a bit better these days. I know, that's the thing about Botox most of you guys didn't know. You know, he used to have to have calipers to be able to walk, but that really helped him. But in terms of like fine motor skills, he struggles. He can, like, you know, make a peg open and close so he can help put washing on the line, although what he tends to do is just put a gazillion pegs on the same shirt. Anyway, point being, physically, like, he can walk, but he still struggles with a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of people like that, not just in disability, like regular disability stuff, but like also elderly people, people who've had injuries, like it all comes under that umbrella. And, you know, one of the things that we demonize in society is, you know, you go to the supermarket and you see like pre-chopped fruits and stuff, and like pre-packaged, and they're in extra plastic, whereas, like, you know, if you just had like a mango, you can just take the mango home. The skin on there is like its own packaging, but then you can also get chopped up mango in a plastic tub. And you probably already guessed what I'm gonna say is, if you're physically disabled, what do you think is gonna be easier for you to eat? You know, like the mango that you have to cut and in a particular way, and you've got to be careful you don't hurt yourself while you're chopping it up too, especially if you're trying to do that pop out thing so that it all comes out nice. I mean, it depends on let's not debate how do you chop a mango. Or you could just open a tub and eat it. And if you are physically, you know, struggling, opening the tub is going to be enough struggle. Never mind the complicated things you need to do to prepare a mango. Now, there are other fruits. Watermelon. I actually went to the shop the other day to have a look at the chopped stuff. What made me think of this is, okay, so first of all, I went to my GP to get my mental health plan. I know I'm jumping around a lot. I have mental illness. Don't expect me to stay in one track and explain myself in an organized way, okay? Yeah, went to my GP to get my mental health plan for the year, which gives me access to subsidized psychology sessions in Australia. It doesn't cover the whole fee, unfortunately. And I only get 10 in a year. Thanks a lot, Albo. How's that election gonna go later? I mean, you know, are there enough mentally ill people who will get upset about that? We'll find out. Anyway, stay on track. Yeah, got the mental health plan, but then she's like, is there anything else you want to talk about? And I'm just like, you know, I've just got the usual physical issues. Like, you know, I get mouth ulcers, I've got hay fever, Dad's worried that I'm doing too much with the hay fever medications. And that's when she decided to check my blood pressure. And I don't know if there's anything about hay fever and checking my blood pressure. But, you know, my blood pressure's always low. And usually she's just like, it's low, but it's healthy, it's fine, don't need to worry about it. This time, like, you know, I did that sitting, and then she got me to do the blood pressure standing, and then she's like, gave me a bit of a speech telling me I need to eat and drink more. And, like, she's never freaked out about my blood pressure. I should have asked her what it was. Like, I only glanced at it when I stood up, and I didn't think to be like, hey, what was the other number? But yeah, anyway, it's the first time she's freaked out about my low blood pressure and told me I need to eat and drink more. And then she gave me a speech about how, as well as like your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I've also got to have like 3 snacks a day, like try and eat every 3 hours, which like I can't. Anyway, and then she's going through all the different options of what you can eat. And because I'm low weight, she's like, oh, by the way, you can also have like 1 unhealthy snack, but for the other ones, you could have some nuts or you could have some fruit. Now, I am not really into cannibalism, so I'm just gonna, like, nuts, they're okay sometimes, but I'm not that into it. Yes, that was a pun. Deal with it. So fruits. The trouble with fruits, like, okay, apples and bananas, they're reasonably easy. They're the ones we most have at home. But sometimes bananas, they just, like, if it's a crap banana, it's like eating flour. You guys know what I mean? And then with the apples, I mean, we tend to get the big ones, and then it's like my mouth only goes so far. And of course, if I eat either of them, the dog wants some as well. But sometimes I just, like, don't feel like chewing on a whole damn apple. Anyway, but the other fruit that we have is the mango. And now, my disabled brother, Mum will chop up the mango for him. And then she'll eat the little seed part herself, and he gets all the good bits. But she won't chop up a mango for me, because in terms of me being disabled, it's not the same kind of a thing. But what I've realized is, like, psychologically, I can't cut a mango because it feels like so much effort. I've had so much depression in my life that, like, a lot of my life is about trying to find life hacks to make my life easier and do things the easiest way, because otherwise I would just do nothing. Like, everything feels like such an effort, and that includes the fucking mango. So that's how I ended up at the shop, looking at the mangoes on the shelf in their pre-packaged plastic things, and I'm like, shit, it's not just people who are physically disabled. It's like people with the mental health issues that, like, I just can't eat fruit because it's such a pain in the butt to eat. But if I go up to the shops and find that section with the pre-cut stuff, I'm like, I might actually get closer to eating that. Like, that I just go and buy it, and then I can just open it and eat it. Like, and then I don't have to, like, chop up things. I don't have to clean the chopping board. I don't have to clean the knife, and, like, all these different steps that just make me think, you know what, the whole thing's not worth it. I hate cleaning. Like, this is the thing with my, if you've been following my art, I've been posting stories on Instagram, the way that I've worked out how to do art, I hate cleaning paintbrushes, so I just don't use them anymore. I mean, I have used a bit for, like, watercolor, but watercolor's really easy. It's like for acrylic and oil stuff, I just hate cleaning. So I have worked out a style of art that doesn't require that, and that's what's helped me get back into my art practice. So yeah, my life is about avoiding cleaning and avoiding things that just feel too much. I just can't do it. So yeah, that was kind of one of the weirder things, is, like, it's not just physical disability, it's like psychological issues that stop you from doing things. I guess, you know, you can consider that a disability. And yeah, so the thing about plastic is, like, if you just try and get rid of all plastic, and it's not just like I get it, you could have specialized services that cut things for disabled people. The thing that happens, and, like, you know, my brother, he's on the NDIS. I am not. I wouldn't even bother trying. On the NDIS, the trouble with that is, like, I mean, the government really did fuck it up with the way that they allowed things to happen. And so anything is, like, it's like the wedding tax. If you put a label like wedding or NDIS on it, suddenly the price goes way up because they know they can get that extra money out of you. And so if things are specifically for disabled people, the price tends to go up. Whereas if we keep these things on the shelf at the supermarket that anyone can buy, whether you just want the convenience or you actually need it because that's the only way you can eat that food, then it's all the same. Like, it is more expensive usually than just buying the fruit itself. But if it's pre-chopped, like, you know, it's maybe like $1 extra instead of like $20 extra because you had to get it through a specialized service. No, screw the specialized services. The more things that we can make accessible for disabled people through regular channels, the better that is for people who need it. And then you can have convenience if you don't have that issue. So that's like, I mean, you know, the convenience thing is the thing that anti-plastic activists are most thinking about. Like, they just think that people are being lazy and no one should have access to that, but they don't think about the people who need that. And the thing about the people who need it is you kind of need the rest of society to be okay with it, otherwise it gets shoved off into some specialized service. So that's like the main thing in terms of anti-plastic activism that I wanted to talk about. But I will show you, I ended up not getting the chopped mango because it just didn't look good. And then, I mean, I had eaten not long ago, so that made it harder for me to be like, gee, I might actually eat that. Shopping on an empty stomach is easier. Anyway, so I didn't buy that. And they had like, they had the watermelon ones, the one with pineapple. They also had like fruit salad ones, but they had rock melon in it, which just ruins it for me because I don't like rock melon. And once you have it mixed in, it kind of like the taste of it sort of leaks into everything else. So yeah, but there were other ones that were just like, watermelon and blueberry and strawberry. That one could have been okay, but yeah, I just, like, none of them looked very appetizing to me in that form. So I'll show you what I got instead in the end. But I just want to bring up another thing about plastic. Because, like, there are increasing discoveries that there are certain bacterias or worms or whatever that can break down plastic. And, that's positive in terms of removing waste. And, I know there's they worry about chemicals in plastics and the microplastics that are all in our bodies. Although if you think about it, people are living longer despite all that. So I've seen this meme, which is about like people 30 years ago. I wish I had found it before this, but it's like people 30 years ago versus people now. And it's like, the people who were in their 30s back then, they're super gruff and, they've had cigarettes and all that and they look like older and tougher. But then you get like people who are 30 now who look like Shinji from Neon Genesis Evangelion. And it's like because instead of being full of cigarettes and alcohol and whatever, they're full of microplastics. And I just thought that's kind of funny. But no, I think it's medical advances, and so people are living longer despite plastic, because plastic's been around for ages. Anyway, tangents, I can't help it. No, so, okay, why is plastic so useful? Let's start with that, okay? Plastic, one of the good things about plastic is that it doesn't break down too fast. So if you think about, taking your shopping home, a paper bag, especially if you've got anything wet in there, often just like falls apart. You don't want that. So plastic bags, strong, but it's also thin and lightweight. You could bring your big bulky bags, but that's bulky. And then of course you could have your big cotton bags, but they use a lot of water. So instead of plastic as an environmental concern, then you have water as an environmental concern. Like everything has a trade-off. So, there's things like that. It lasts long, it doesn't break down, so you can use it for like your milk. Instead of having glass milk bottles, which are heavier and, glass, a lot of forms of glass when they shatter can be dangerous. And whereas the plastic, it's lightweight, it's not easy to shatter. And it's, it's just, there's so much about plastic that's super useful. Also, because it doesn't break down, you can use it for a lot of medical appliances that go in the body. Like I know there are metals and things that also get used in that, but plastics have medical utility as well. And I just think about, yeah, okay, we need to try not to have so much pollution in the world, but organisms do evolve. We're already seeing certain bacteria that appear to have the ability to break down plastic, okay? It may take, 1,000 years, a million years, whatever, but I can see life finding a way and learning how to break down all the plastic. If it happens while humans are still around and still using plastic in important things like medical devices, can you imagine like a bacteria comes along that can just absolutely decimate plastic, and then suddenly you can't use all these medical appliances? And there's so many things, like if you look around you, what are all the things you're using that have plastic in them? Why is plastic chosen instead of other materials? And you're just like, if there was a bacteria that could break down all plastic real fast, like so much of modern life just wouldn't work. There are so many things that would be absolutely destroyed, and society as we know it would struggle, because what do you replace plastic with? That is one of the questions. We've tried to come up with biodegradable plastic, which often just leads to more microplastic. But yeah, in terms of like natural materials, there's a reason we started using less natural materials and moved on to plastic. Or you can use like glass, but it's heavy, as I mentioned. Metal, heavy. You know, like there's certain things that are just, plastic is just better for. And so like, I get it. There are problems with plastic. I just wanted to bring up the other side of it. Some of the issues that people may not have thought about is if, like, we're just looking for ways to recycle plastic. I get it. But I feel like nature is also going to do its job at some point. The real concern for us, this is very George Carlin, but we're worried about our own habitat. The fact is, you know, the planet doesn't give a shit about us. And it'll find a way. Like, if life wants to keep going, it'll find a way. It'll just be like microorganisms, and we'll all be dead, and, you know, we're all gonna die eventually anyway, so who gives a shit? Eventually the sun will consume the earth. Like, I don't think we're going to get to that stage of society and technology where we'll be able to move our entire planet like it's a spaceship, like some sci-fis. And, you know, maybe we might be able to get little spaceships off the planet. Of course, having to travel long distances, unless we can find some kind of Z-space, any Animorphs fans here, Z-space, or, you know, like wormhole things, if we, like, jump, doing those sort of interstellar jump things, or whatever the one in Star Wars is, or warp speed, blah blah. Unless we discover something like that, being on a spaceship, humans are going to evolve in all kinds of ways, assuming they even survive. I don't know, it's hard for me to care, especially, like, you know, the mental illness that I have. The whole schizoid thing is hard for me to give a shit. But there's just some other things to think about. Okay, anyway, so moody kinds of things. I just think, like, there are certain things that plastic is good for that we take for granted, and so it's very easy to be an anti-plastic activist because you saw someone stick straws in a turtle's nose or whatever. Like, that stuff's shit. I think a lot of, like, you know, we do a lot of recycling here. Where is that coming from? It's probably from us shipping our plastic to other countries that don't have the same standards as us, and then they just chuck it in the ocean anyway. You know, we need to take care of our own waste, but that's not profitable, so of course, you know, we just do all this cleanup, recycling, reducing our plastic use as sort of a virtue signaling thing without actually thinking about the bigger picture a lot of the time. And, you know, we used to always reuse our plastic shopping bags as bin liners, and now we have to go and buy bin liners, so we're still... I don't know. I don't know that we actually reduced a whole lot because of the plastic bag ban. And then overseas in these less stringent countries, they're just using more anyway and just tossing it in the ocean. I don't know, man. It's just like... Okay, so that's a fact. It's probably still good to reduce plastic use, but also consider the consequences, because one of the things when they got the plastic straw ban, my brother, he struggles to hold a cup and drink it that way because he's got cerebral palsy. He's not the steadiest. He shakes a little bit, and it's just kind of clumsy. But you can't give him a metal straw because he just has a reflex where he chews it. And so, you know, the plastic straw, yes, he'll chew it, but he's not going to damage himself. And yeah, it's like, you know, before he completely destroys it, that is a way that he can drink more easily. Like, you know, we teach him that, but there's some days where he's just can't really hold it properly, and when he's out and about it's much easier to just use a straw, and now it's much harder to find the plastic straws because mainstream society got rid of them. Like, there are consequences, so I think it's just like, I feel like the activists haven't thought about those things. How is the disability community going to cope when you get rid of a certain product and, like, you know, medical things? And it's very easy to just think we should just get rid of all plastic because it doesn't affect you. If you haven't been around a lot of disability, I guess you just don't think of that. So I just wanted to raise that, like, yes, reduce plastic, but do it in a smart way. Consider the actual consequences. Okay, now, what I actually got instead of the pre-chopped fruit, I thought I would give freeze-dried a go. I was almost not going to buy anything, but then I saw the freeze. I was actually looking in the nut section. I thought, cannibalism, okay, let's go. But I didn't find any that... I'm just not into them. They didn't even have the, like, sugar-coated ones. Or, like, you know, I've gotten some from the markets that have, like, honey or other things on them that make them nice. And didn't have any of that shit. Maybe one. Maybe it would have been a big pack and I just wasn't hungry enough. But I thought, freeze-dried. Supposed to be 2 servings of fresh fruit. I don't know what they consider to be a serving. I also got the strawberry one. So what was that? Peaches, strawberries, and mangoes. 2 fresh mangoes. And, you know, it's freeze-dried, so they've taken all the water out. And, you know, Triton gets... I've got freeze-dried treats for Triton from a market one time, which was like chicken and duck and whatever. But, you know, I should try some of this myself. So, shall we give it a go? Because I put him in his crate a bit early. It's cleaning day and I've already done my cleaning. So I put him in his crate a bit late, which means I have to wait longer before I can have lunch. And my doctor said I had to snack. So, shall we try some freeze-dried peach? I hope it's not horrible. But, like, this would be good to get some, like, and there's nothing else in it. It's just freeze-dried peaches. That's it. That's the only ingredient in it. So that's how I can get my fruit snacking in and make my doctor... She was threatening to send me to the dietitian, which I've been to before, and it didn't help that much because, like, I don't like a lot of the foods that they want me to eat. The only thing that really helped is at the time I used to get, like, at Nando's they had, like, the kids burger, I forget what it's called, and she said I should upgrade to, like, a proper big one, and so I did that, and I still like that one, except Nando's isn't near me anymore. Yeah, that's about the only thing I got out of the dietitian last time. So I kind of don't want to go back. I don't want to be told to eat things that I'm just not going to eat. Realistically, you can tell me as much as you want that I'm going to eat certain thing, I'm not going to eat it. Oh my god. That texture is not what I was expecting. It's crunchy. That is nice though. Freeze-dried peach. Oh my goodness. I didn't think it would be that crunchy. Alright. Peach one is a winner. Let's have a look at the strawberries. Now the strawberry does have freeze-dried strawberries and a hint of rice syrup. So this one is, I mean, because, you know, strawberries, it depends on the strawberry, but some strawberries, they're not really that sweet. I've still got peach stuck in my... Oh, they actually look like strawberries. These ones. You can actually see them. Alright, let's give it a go. Yeah. I think I'm less into that. Yeah, no, that's nice enough. I don't think I'll rebuy it, but it's nice. I feel like there's a little bit too much of the sugary stuff in there. And then the mangoes. The thing that I was most sad about. Because, like, you know, I could ask Mum to chop it for me and she'd just look at me like crazy. And I'm like, yes, I am crazy. That's why I'm going to psychology all the time. But, yeah, wouldn't work, I don't think. Alright, freeze-dried mango. It's got a strong smell. So, like, now I don't have to chop mango on, if it's any good. Yeah. I'm getting the mango vibes. I've still got, like, strawberry and peach in my teeth, though. And I think the peach one is the best. So I haven't solved my my mango problem, I don't think. But we often don't get peaches at home either. And then but peaches, here's the other thing is, peaches are messy. Like, bananas are the cleanest because, like, they come with, like, a wrapping that you hold it in. Apples are the next one because, like, yeah, it gets a little bit messy, but you can hold around the core thing. And as long as it's not too juicy, it won't leak all over you. But peaches, they are messier, and see if they're messier, then I have to wash my hands more after, or just like worry about where it's dripping, and like that's extra effort that I'm just like not into. Just gonna chuck that in the bin. Yeah, but so I'm not sure what kind of packaging this is. Sometimes they say whether the packaging is recyclable, although, like, as I said, where does our recycling go? I know in Australia we've had issues, because I think China stopped accepting our trash, and good on them. And then we just didn't really have much of a... I mean, this looks like it's got aluminium or something in it, but a lot of the time aluminium packaging is plastic coated anyway. So, yeah, there's no recyclable signs on that. But my doctor said I had to snack. Of course, immediately after that, I went to McDonald's. But, no, because I don't want to leave the house all the time, so I just got to stock up on snacks. And I don't want to be eating like Mikey gets his Cheezels, and yeah, I'm just like, don't know that I want to be eating that kind of stuff. I'm too lazy for fruit a lot of the time. And the other thing is, like, yeah, we've got fruit at home, but I'll often forget, whereas if I just have it on my desk, I'm more likely to think, gee, I should eat that. Especially when I'm distracted. And anyway, so there's some thoughts on the plastic issue. And I guess like a quick review of the freeze-dried fruit. The peach one is the best, but I will have to like see when my mouth is like not a mix of different flavors so I can be sure. Yeah, that's all for now. I'm just don't panic about me being like pro-plastic. No, I'm just trying to add some nuance that some of you haven't thought about. So like, calm down. Calm down. I've had issues with activists on this. I'm a centrist, okay? Just want you to have a bit of the middle ground. I'm not saying that we should all have plastic again. I'm just saying think about it before you just blanket ban everything and take things off the mainstream market without any thought to how it's going to affect the disability market, because they do charge extra if you put a disability label on it. But if it's just a convenient thing, the extra charge is a lot less. And I gotta say, these were actually, like, it's supposed to be the equivalent of 2 mangoes, did it say? And I, like, you know, mangoes aren't cheap, and I'm actually surprised at, like, how good priced these things are. They're not that much more expensive than regular food, but it had to go through extra processing to become freeze-dried. That surprised me. Anyway, do I make the video about heavier stuff now? Not sure.